Hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics, the competitive Kill Team 40k podcast and YouTube channel, focused on giving you the strategies and tactics to seize initiative every turning point. I'm your host Ryan, and I'm here to give you the tips and tricks to elevate every part of your Kill Team experience. If you enjoy this content and you want more, you can join our Patreon for as little as £3 a month. We'll get access to our Discord, Patreon priority questions, early access to videos including Kill Team bat reps, faction guides, and much more. If that's not for you, you can support just by hitting like, subscribe, and sharing these videos amongst the community of Kill Team enthusiasts local to you. Finally, if you're looking to buy some new miniatures or paints, you can buy them through Element Games, getting a 15% discount, and if you use our affiliate link below, you'll support the show as well. With all that said, let's get into it. Yeah, let's go to the next section. So, Metawatch, right? So, I think it's important to look at who's winning, who's losing, or, who's the best performing, who's the worst performing teams in the moment. And we've done a little bit of stats diving. We've been using the data that Hot Sauce Teddy has very kindly collected and composed and put together. And we're only using 1 month. So we're only using the latest results from the post balance data slates. And it won't be including, I think it was last updated, a couple of weeks ago, so it won't be including the most recent tournament results. So we have a bit of data on that as well. But do you want to go through, Connor, and just let people know what the top 5 teams are that are coming out from the stats?
Yeah, so coming at number 1, you might be surprised to hear this is Star Striders at 77.8%, followed closely by Chaos Cults at 68.6%. Then another shock here, Galapox Infected, sitting at 67.6%, followed by Felgor Ravagers, 64.7%, and then finally, the new kids on the block, Inquisitorial Agents, 60.3%.
Cool. So, first caveat, right? Very small data set. Yeah. So before people start losing their mind, very small data set.
We see you typing in the comment section.
Salt is typing. Right, so firstly, Star Striders, I think that is like 2 players, and they went like 4-0 and then 3-1 or something. It's a very small data set. So before people get too worried, it's not a huge amount, but and it's probably Ace, right? Like we know Ace, we know you're playing Star Striders, you're enjoying them, right? I think you actually might be playing Exaction Squad recently, but yeah, like we know what you've been doing. So anyway, point being is they're at the top. I'm not 100% surprised. They're a good faction. They've got some good pilots at the moment that are running them. I think they have some good tools. They have some abilities to be able to.
I think they got the Relentless Rotor and get rid of that. It's too good, obviously.
Whoever did that enough was stupid. No. But I don't think they're that OP. I think they're in a good place. I think they're probably, one of the few teams that with the Alpha Strike ability that they have with their blast weapons might be able to put the scare onto Colts a little bit because they can actually do some big damage from orbit. And if you weaken them, if you just chip them a little bit and you get them into that melee area where they won't survive the melee fight, then that's quite good. So, but anyway, fine, they're at the top. Chaos Colts. Again, this isn't too surprising. That's a much bigger data set as well. So we're kind of seeing them rise to the top. Now, Galapox Infected, I was thinking about it the other day. Actually, it does kind of make sense because they are very good at melee. And we're going to talk about later on in the episode or in the next segment if you're not a patron, but you'll get it at the end of the week. But we're going to talk about how to beat these teams at the top. And I think one of the ways is outperforming them in melee. And with the 5 at full no pain, which is great, the ability to make people injured, and those kind of benefits, I feel like Galapox have the methods to really hurt those melee teams. It's very hard to survive a melee with a Hulk, right? Like a Nightmare Hulk, and therefore it's going to hurt them. Next, we have Felgor Ravagers. Again, similar story. I'm not surprised to see them. They're enjoying the meta at 64.7%. It's pretty good. And then next on the list is Inquisitorial Agents, which again, I think it's not too surprising that they're quite a big toolbox team. So I would expect to see them somewhere near the top. So it's interesting that all these are above 60%. As the data stabilizes, it'd be interesting to see where they end up. And hopefully as that data set gets bigger, because I think really you can only really look at it from from data slate to data slate. That's where we get enough data for it to become slightly more static. But that's the top 5. So yeah, an interesting mix. Some that aren't too surprising, to be honest, and kind of what we're expecting. But Connor, what people really want to know, the double hello tier, so to speak, the anti-meta chaser, if you will, the hipster faction picks. What have we got at the bottom 5?
So Team 5, we've got Haratet Circle sitting at 38.6. Coming at 4th, Hearthkin, looking at 36.1%. Pathfinders, 34%. That's a shocker. Exaction Squad sitting at 33%. And then in last place with 33%, Intercession Squad. No, sorry, Kazakhstan.
But it feels like Intercession. Okay, so let's run through it. So Kazakhstan Exaction, both on 33%. I'm not too surprised about Kazakhstan. They hate this meta, I think. Like, that these very good melee teams that are very damage resistant, like, are not good for them to play against. And I think they're driving a lot of elites out, which is what Kazakhstan really succeeds versus. So I'm not too surprised to see at the bottom. Exaction has surprised me a little bit. Now, this might just be because it's taking a bit of time for people to warm up to them and like post buff, and like, oh, how's it changing things? And so that might be part of it a little bit. But I feel like they should be better than 33%. But, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Pathfinders, I think they hate ITD. They hate Felgar Ravages. They hate Chaos Cults. And I think they're really not enjoying this meta, right? So, this doesn't surprise me. I don't want them buffed, though. Like,
no, I agree. I just don't know how they counter Felgar. What's their strat against them? I don't know.
So this is kind of my point on this would be this, right? Is like, this is a Felgar problem. This is not a Pathfinder weakness, right? Like, that's my personal take.
Yeah.
Is like you don't fix Pathfinders here by giving them a buff and leaving Felgar where they are. When Felgar and Colts and the other teams are toned down, I think Pathfinders will find their natural place again. So, and I think as well on the mixed formats on ITD and that sort of stuff, that's where they're struggling. And the other thing that I would say about Pathfinders is they are immensely difficult to play, and but they have such a high skill ceiling. So it's very difficult for people to pick up and play this team. So if people are playing it for the first time, or even an experienced player will struggle with them, right? Because they're not an easy team to play. But you almost have to have that painful experience where someone then takes it and really stretches it, and shows you what the team can do with that toolbox. I realised what I said was awful, but never mind. Okay, so
again. I was like, is this
we're back to the phallic Bible. Oh God, not again. Okay, so to speak, whatever. Right, into Hearthkin. So 36.1%. I was talking to, as I said the other week, one of the guys at the local club, a really good Spanish player, and I don't really know what to do with, like, how would you fix this team, because that is not quick enough, and I don't think making them super durable is going to help. So I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. And Hierotek, a little bit shocked, 38.6%. I think that's purely because they're not reliable enough. So maybe I'm being too generous with them in the tier rankings that we did last week, but I don't know. Like, I feel like they have some abilities, but they probably don't like going into Inquisitorial Agents too much, and they probably don't like going into the Felgar and the Chaos Cults, as well, no one really does. So maybe that's why that's hurting them quite a bit, and I feel maybe it's also the fact that they just don't have the, I don't know, reliability to deal with those teams as well. But yeah. Okay, Connor, but so that was kind of like old data a little bit. There's obviously been 3 semi-large tournaments quite recently in the US scene, the UK scene, and the Polish scene. Should we talk about the US scene first? Because that was probably the biggest one with 63 players, I think.
Yeah, the Tacoma Open, 63 players. Let's look at the top 8 here. So coming in at 8th, Chaos Cults. 7th, Felgar Ravagers. 6th, Orc Commandos. 5th, Void Dancer Troop. 4th, Intercession Squad. 3, Hand of the Archon. 2, Phobos. Well played, Phobos. And then first place, Intercession. So what I'm taking from this is that Intercession weren't nerfed enough. What are you taking from this
We
one?
need to nerf Intercession into the ground. Nerf them into the ground. Now, I don't know if they were using the latest balanced data slate. I'm going to assume that they were.
I see.
But like this is interesting. I am surprised by this. But it's actually kind of good to see. Like that's a pretty good spread of teams between all those options there. And Distinguished Gentleman bringing the Phobos Strike team out to get second place, and in session as well. I think that's a really good showing by those guys. The top three is in session, Phobos, and Hand of the Archon, all different teams, different play styles. That's really impressive, and I feel like actually people are figuring out ways of dealing with these teams by taking quite a lot of increased risk, because that's kind of like the thing at the moment, right? The question on everyone's mind is, how do you beat Chaos Cults? How do you beat Felgal Ravagers? I'm actually really impressed to see that they managed to get above Felgal Ravagers though, because I find that such a hard matchup with those elite teams. So that's really interesting to see. So if we look over to the London Open, Connor, what was the top 8 there?
Top 8 in sorry, I haven't written down how many were in this tournament, but top 8 in the London Open, coming in at 8th, Kazakin. So ignore everything we just said about Kazakin. They're OP. 7th was Legionary. 6th Intercession Squad. 5th Chaos Cult. 4th Chaos Cult. 3rd Inquisitorial Agents. 2nd Illusidian Star Striders. And 1st Orc Commandos.
Yeah, so this I think is showing like a really interesting trend that we'll see repeated quite often. Commandos are I think the go-to team at the moment to be able to beat Cults on open board, because a good strategy is Alpha Strikes, and they have access to a lot of Alpha Strikes through various means. But so that's interesting to see. And Star Striders again, not too surprised to see. And Inquisitorial Agents up there, which makes sense. We did a guide the other day on it, talking about how we think you can beat those teams. And then 4th and 5th going to Chaos Cults is good. It's interesting to then see the elites and then followed by Kazakin. That's again quite a wide split. But 2 Chaos Cults, I think there might have been 3 players for Chaos Cults, and 2 of them made it into top 8. So good to see that they're still repping like pretty hard, and they're still doing pretty well. But let's have a look across to then Poland, Connor, in the Drop Zone tournament.
Yeah, Drop Zone Poland, top 8. So coming in at 8th, Farstalker Kinban. Well played. 7th, Yellowpox Infected. 6th, Legionary. 5th, Void Dancer Troop. 4th, Orc Commandos. 3rd, Intercession Squad. 2nd, Legionary. And 1st, Inquisitorial Agent.
Yeah, so this is and the interesting caveat here was there were no cult players.
Okay.
And to be fair, the guy who's playing Crystal Agent is, I'm going to say it wrong, Matthias, maybe? Mateus? Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm sure I've butchered that. I'm really awful at that sort of thing. Right, anyway, but he's a really good player, right? And he plays Vet Guard all the time, and he's now moved on to the Integral Agents. I think he's it's unsurprising to see him at the top. And I probably should have said that about the other ones as well. Like Orc Commandos was Nick Collins. And, I think the Inquisitorial Agents in London was, I want to say it was Guy. So there's some really strong players that are playing these top teams. But interesting to see how they've ended up, right? Because there's quite a few there's quite a few elites in this Polish meta that have risen to the top. So Legionary, Intercession Squad in the top 3. Another Legionary player, and I would say Void Dance Troop probably classed as a mid-range to elite team, all in the top 8. So that's really interesting to see. So I feel like it maybe in Poland, where there's not too many cults, that they seem to be doing okay. And I don't know if there's any Felgal Ravagers there, but a really interesting spread. So some good data coming in. I think we'll have to watch this as we go. We'll have to keep the Metawatches updated, but so far so good. All right, Connor. So end of that. So let's move into the next section. But before we do, that brings us to the end of the episode. Hopefully you found something new or useful while listening, and if you did, throwing us a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so you get notifications as soon as the next one drops. It really is the best way to help a small channel like ours. And if you can't wait, and you do want early access, we have a Patreon where you get exclusive access to all our content ahead of time. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback, so drop a comment below and we'll get right to you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host Ryan, This has been Turning Point Tactics, and we'll see you next week.